Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show. We've been talking to people from all over the world today about their books. This next author, I think, has some very important and touching and moving subjects that she writes about. And we're just going to jump right into it. Let me introduce Dee Walters. Welcome, Dee.
Well, hello there.
I'm just going to jump into this by putting your book cover up on the screen, Healing the Broken Heart. Tell us about that book, Dee.
Well, I lost my son in 2019 and I felt very alone. Nobody else could understand how you feel because when people come and tell you, I'm so sorry for your loss or I'm sorry, it just feels like it feels empty in a sense because I'm empty and I didn't want to survive this alone and I wanted to provide the way I processed the loss of my son. I wanted to help other families, other parents that were going through this as well.
It pops in my head that, and by the way, I'm so sorry about losing a
Thank you.
child. I
Thank you.
can't imagine. I cannot imagine. But a lot of us know somebody who has been through that, and we'll know people in the future who have. And
Correct.
when it happens, do you feel like this is I'm the only person this has ever happened to?
That's what it feels like because I didn't, I knew some of my kids had friends that had passed, two different times, but I didn't know their parents. So I didn't really personally know anybody who had lost their child. And so that's where the aloneness came from. And I feel like there's got to be so many other parents out there that have lost their children that don't know someone else that has been through the same loss. And it's really hard to deal with alone because I lost my husband in 2012.
Mm,
So I was the only parent that was feeling this. So it was so lonely.
yes. Now, so you went through a process. You
Correct.
have to kind of invent your own way through the process, develop
Yes.
your own methods,
Mhm.
and now you've written. After that, you felt like writing it down, so maybe you could help others.
Correct. And going through the writing of this book was so healing. There's so many parents out there that just can't function anymore. All they do is cry. They can't get through their day-to-day things. I do have a coworker that lost a child and she has such a hard time and can't even work a full shift sometimes because it's unbearable. And that hurts me because I feel like you need to get through it. You need to go through the steps. You need to be able to live your life because your child would never want you to suffer like that.
Yeah. Now, you lost your husband in 2012. You
Correct.
lost your child in 2019. Was it a whole
Correct.
different level type of
Oh,
grief?
yes. Losing my husband, I thought I had a slight nervous breakdown. I thought I wasn't going to be able to go on, but I had to go on for my children. And losing my child was 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can't imagine. I should say it that way. I cannot imagine. Now, you're very brave to write this book, and I appreciate that you did it. And I encourage our viewers to go get a copy. I often buy 5 copies of a book because there's always someone I want to give the book to. So, and in this case, sooner or later, we're all going to find somebody that we could give this book to. Would you think, Dee? Would it help people?
Oh, absolutely. I initially had 80 something 5-star reviews on Amazon, and they've since been taking them down, which I don't know why. And there's only 31 on there now. But in total, I have over 100 5-star reviews, but they just don't show on Amazon because they're taking them down. Why, I
Yeah,
don't know, but they are. So it's helping so many people. And if I could just help one,
right.
that's good enough for me.
Right. By the way, those of us in the book business, who knows why Amazon does what they do? So
Absolutely.
now you started. Is it an organization, the Self Help Hub, Self Help Hub?
The self-help hub, that's just what I'm writing my other self-help books under.
Okay.
So it's not under me personally. I wanted to personally put my name on my Healing the Broken Heart book because it was so extremely personal,
Uh,
that I wanted my name on that. But I just wanted to do the self-help hub because I have books on self-help, two that are currently out, and I have two more that are coming very soon.
which one would you like to talk about first?
The single parenting,
Okay. And so, uh, so it's kind of the author's name is the Self-Help Hub. You're not putting it as your name, but
correct.
and um, redefining single parenting. Tell us about that.
Well, when I lost my husband in 2012, I had to redefine our family. I wanted my kids to thrive. I wanted my kids to have the best outcome that life could be. So I wanted to share the experiences of that with other people as well.
And again,
My Healing the Broken Heart book kind of got my writer's
yeah.
career going. I've always written poems. I've got several poetry published, but the Healing the Broken Heart book kind of got me going into writing more self-help stuff.
And now, you are, in a way, you could say you're a trailblazer because you had to go figure this stuff out on your own. But
Yes, sir.
people don't have to be a trailblazer because people like you have gone before them and lived through this and figured this stuff out. So maybe you maybe laid out a path that others can follow that don't have
Correct.
to figure it out themselves. And some, by the way, some people cannot figure it out by themselves. They just don't make it.
Correct.
Yeah. And you have another from Self-Help Hub, Surviving PTSD, the choppy seas we deal with. Tell us about that book.
Well, after, losing my husband and my son, I have PTSD, and it used to be out of control, and I had to find a way to help myself. Counseling and various other medications, or even yoga, or I just put the steps that I did to help myself on paper for other people that are suffering to be able to find a way.
Yeah. Now, PTSD is kind of a newer term. We think of people come back from the military or somebody who's gone through some trauma has PTSD, but we're finding that it's a very real thing. It just they finally got a good name for it, I guess.
Correct.
Now, who needs these books? I guess anybody who's gone through this, and you found ways to on the PTSD, your own therapies, so to speak. By the way, were writing the books therapeutic? Did that help you?
Oh, definitely, especially my Healing the Broken Heart one. That's what opened my author floodgate, so to speak, into writing. And now it's just like an addiction almost.
Yeah, that is, well, I'm so sorry those things happen, but I'm very glad that you were brave enough and strong enough to say, I'm going to commit this to paper. Whether you knew in the future it's going to help somebody else or not, I think it is going to be very helpful for other people. So where can
If I
people...
just help one person, I'm
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Now, I will tell a little backstory on Dee's book here, Healing the Broken Heart. By the way, I can now see the full title, Navigating Grief and Loss After the Death of a Child. That was easy to find on Amazon because I just typed in Dee Walters and it popped up. But her other books, you'd have to go into Amazon and type as the author, the self-help hub, and they pop right up. I found them very easy when I did that. So, Dee, thank you for doing what you do. Any last thoughts, anything else you'd like our viewers to know before we're out of time?
I just want everybody to know that I'm just getting started. I've got a book on stress that's coming out, and I've also got a book on long haul COVID. My aunt suffers with that severely, and so I've done research on that, and I'm going to have a book out on that. So there's several more to come.
Yeah, I would say I've heard of long haul COVID. My cousin has it, and I'm always embarrassed to say, well, what is that? What is that? So it'd be nice to get a resource that we could understand that a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Thank you for writing those books, Dee. I don't say that to people. Thanks for writing the book, but thank you for writing those books, and I appreciate that very much. And by the way, I have your website on the screen. What would our viewers find on your website?
They'll find that all three books are on my website as well,
Okay.
and they can buy them through Amazon on my website. And they can find out a little bit about me, and then anything else that's to come will be there as well.
Yeah. By the way, the website's walterspublishingllc.com. Also, over on Instagram, books by the self_help hub is on the screen. You can see it. And
It's a tongue twister, isn't it?
thank you, Dee, for doing what you do, and thanks for coming on the show. And hopefully, we'll have you back. Each time a book comes out, we want you to come back on the show.
Okay, that sounds great, and thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
All right, and for our viewers, don't go anywhere because we're going to have another author coming up right after this.